If you're looking for an inspirational story of a profile of courage, look no further than Christopher Decker. He's celebrating a year and a half sober of sex, money, and alcohol addiction, and not to mention the fact that he's persevered through a troubling childhood that saw his mother nearly commit suicide at the age of 9 when she almost drove a car off a cliff in Santa Monica. Thankfully, she's fine now, but was unable to care for Chris and his siblings after that ordeal, and he also got exposed to meth dealers as a child. However, he's come out on the other side of prosperity to use his life lessons to inspire others. He's the host of the Age of Authenticity podcast and a published author. He joined me this week to share his inspirational story and to provide some much needed advice and some encouraging words to others who may be going through similar experiences that he did. I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. Chris, I want to take a few minutes to welcome you to the program, and I'm excited to learn all about your courageous and inspirational journey. So great to see you this afternoon, and thanks so much for spending a few minutes with me.
You're welcome, Kevin. I'm excited to be on your show today.
Chris, I know that you've lived an interesting life, and I know that you're on a mission to sort of transcend barriers and help over 1 million people sort of break down those barriers into a life of out of isolation and into acceptance. So I'm wondering if you could start me off to tell me why it's important for you to be on this journey.
Absolutely. So I want to connect 100 million people to their story. And I feel when we can connect someone to their story, they no longer feel alone because they start to see their stories in others through what they share. And when you're no longer alone, you feel accepted. And when you feel accepted, change can happen. And when change happens, you become a light, and when you become a light, you light up others, and then all of a sudden 100 million people no longer feel alone. Kevin, you see, this started as someone else sharing my story. You see, I was angry that they were sharing my story. I had found myself in a recovery group completely broken and surrendered, and I heard them share the things that I thought I had only gone through. You see, Kevin, I thought I was unique. I thought I was the only one that had happened to. And the answer was, that's not true. You see, when I broke out of that isolation, initially I was angry, but then I accepted it. But then I understood that there were others around me that would love me and care for me. And human beings, when we share these real, authentic pieces inside of us, we don't run away from each other. In fact, Kevin, I found that we get closer.
And I know that you've been on a journey. You're a year and a half sober from alcohol and some of the other demons that had affected you in your younger days. So I'm just wondering if you could take me down that journey and how you came out the other side.
Absolutely. You see, Kevin, there was darkness. I grew up in and out of meth dealers' homes until I was about 9 years old, and my mom no longer able to take care of us. I found myself developing a me versus the world complex. Eventually, I was going to make so much FU money that nobody could possibly touch me. You see, Kevin, I thought I was the hero and the star, but in reality, I was the bad guy. I was chasing the dollar and brushing up on my marketing skills and becoming more of what? And I found myself hitting a rock bottom when I was technically on top. I had the nice apartment. I had the nice cars. I was married. Life looked good. I had the business, and I got hit with a lawsuit that threatened to take away every penny I'd made as a young entrepreneur. I was lost in the midst of my sex and pornography addiction, my alcohol addiction, drug addiction. You see, I was just running away from the pain of the things that I knew were true. I didn't want to deal with these things. I didn't want to look at myself in the mirror and in the eye. And when it all became too much, when it all came to a searing, bitter end, I had no choice but to surrender, Kevin, and look up and say, God, if you're there, I need your help.
And what have you learned about yourself over the last year and a half that's made you a better person, in your opinion?
Kevin, what I've learned is that not to run away from the negative emotions, not to run away from the past, not to look at myself from what I was, but think about who I could be moving forward, Kevin. There was a turning point when that in that turning point of surrender where every decision moving forward was no longer based on me, it was based on others. I no longer wanted my old ways. My best thinking had gotten me to where I was. Over the last 1.5 years, I've been able to take a hard look at the bad things I've done, look at why they happened, and find the original hurts that needed to be healed, the original things that needed to be healed, because hurt people hurt people. I was hurting people all around me. I didn't care about relationships. I thought if I just isolated and I stayed alone, nobody would find out I was going to take these secrets to the grave with me.
And tell me, what would be your message to anyone watching this about the importance of perseverance? And how do you think you can provide them a source of inspiration when they are sort of trying to come over the same obstacles that you experienced?
I think perseverance is taking one more step, one more day at a time, and one more day is 24 hours, and you break down those 24 hours, you have 60 minutes in an hour, and then with each one of those minutes you have 60 seconds, which each one of those seconds you have 100 milliseconds or something like that. And the thing is to take it 1 millisecond at a time, make the next right choice this very second, make the next right choice that second. And if you continue to stack up those right choices in a year and a half, I guarantee your life will be different because you have changed. You see, perseverance is not a big power of will and go and put all the effort that you have into a single thing, because if you put all the effort you have into a single thing and you don't get it, then that's devastation. There's small incremental habits and decisions that make up the whole human.
And tell me about the podcast you host, Age of Authenticity, and sort of the message that you're trying to get out through that vehicle or platform.
Amongst social media elite and New York Times best-selling authors, $100 million company CEOs, and the people that I've looked up to and admired, they've all said this word authenticity and this authentic, genuine self and gratitude. And I haven't really understood what that meant until I finally felt ready to tell the exact truth of who I was and what I could do to serve other people, because the age of authenticity is not something that's happening. It's something that we're in. We have entered an age of authenticity around us in this world. There's lies, corruption, greed, and hate. The only way to truly stand out is with the truth. There's no other way.
And I know that you're a published author, so congratulations on that.
Thank
Um,
you.
so tell me about the book you wrote and sort of the message that you're trying to deliver through your written words, bud.
Absolutely. So you see, Kevin, I knew that I had to write my first terrible book so that I could make way for maybe writing a good book someday. So I wrote a really bad book, and you know what? People have read it and they say, "Yeah, it's not that bad." I said, look, it's not the best that's going to come out of me, but it was the first one. And so I took the Acrostic Profit. I had to reinvent what profit meant to me because I had a mentor who told me that businesses are built on profit. But here I was sitting saying, I don't agree with profit. Money is this weird thing. So I had to reinvent what profit meant so that businesses could be built on profit was a true statement to me. I said, okay, the P is going to stand for people. How are you treating people in your life and in your business? The R is going to stand for revenue. If cash is the lifeblood of a business, how are you treating your revenue? O is offering. If you're not giving back and making an offering, then you're not doing anything. What's the point of us even existing? F is for faith. Kevin, faith in business, faith in a spiritual sense, but faith in being able to see the things that are not there yet and being able to take those action steps with the next right decision. Insurance is the I in profit. Insurance is protecting your downside risk and making sure that you are protected if something goes wrong. And T for time. I was always told that if you don't wait till the right time, or if it's not the right time to launch something, it'll never work. So time. And that is the Acrostic Profit is a way that I've healed in these different business areas of my life as I was healing individually. Like I said, it's a bad book, but it's the first book that I wrote.
Well, we all have to start somewhere, right, Chris?
Yeah.
And we learn from every experience in life. I always tell people that life is a constant game of connections and experiences, right? We learn from
Mm-hmm.
the good ones and we grow from the bad ones. Absolutely, Chris. So I commend you for writing the book. But my next question for you, Chris, is what would be your thoughts or sentiment on the importance of having a supportive community around you to sort of tackle the problems or issues that you may be dealing with? Because I always tell people that collaboration is a great way to solve problems because we all don't know everything. So I'm wondering your thoughts on that sentiment as well.
There was a time when I was like Disney's The Mandalorian, this assassin for hire that would come in, get the job done, and go home. And you know what? That was not. I was not a collaborator or work with other people or a community-driven person. The only reason a community existed for me at that time was so that I could sell them something. To me, community today is my brothers and sisters that I'm able to be real with and share real things. And my community is my family of clients and the people that have come on my podcast. And my community is the people in my recovery groups and my accountability partners and sponsors and these relationships in life that are so sacred and special that I can't even believe that I can't even believe that at some point I didn't value them. I am so happy that they are valued today.
You know, casting a wide net opened up boundless opportunities. Chris, that's the way I live my life, and I think that the one thing that we all have to be open to is acceptance of other perspectives because it helps us grow.
Hmm.
So. And I'm curious, Chris, to also know what are one or two things that people might be surprised to learn about you that you haven't shared today that people might be surprised to learn about you.
Some things that people might be surprised to learn about me is that I don't have a computer at home. When I leave the studio, when I leave the office, I'm done. I'm not working. I'm not looking at my phone. I'm there with my family. And people will ask me for things over the weekend or in the evenings and say, "Oh, can't you just open your laptop?" I say, "No, because I don't have a computer at home." You see, I value that time because I used to be a workaholic. I probably still am. But when I'm able now to go home and be home at 4:30 or 5, that is different than the days that I spent coming home at 10 or 11, 7 days a week. That balance has been a strive. I have a daily meditation practice that many don't know about daily exercise routine and meditation practice, I find that with a practice, it's not a practice requires consistency and an ongoing commitment to small incremental changes.
And Chris, since you have made that digital detox change and not looking at electronics after 5 o'clock and worrying about work after you leave work, can you tell me just about this tremendous sense of fulfillment that you have experienced since making that change?
You see, there's the science of achievement. If I do X, Y, and Z, I'm going to get the trophy with my name on it. First place or you're last, as they say. You see, the science of achievement is replicatable. It's doable. If you put in enough time, effort, and the right ingredients, you are going to achieve. There's a different side of the coin, which is the art of fulfillment. With all of that success, if you've gotten to number one and you're seeking that applause, you see it's empty. There's nothing behind that. The art of fulfillment is learning to stop and smell the roses and say thank you, even when you have nothing, and to be trusted as a steward of a small amount of finances, so that when it finally comes and God pours a Brinks truck full of cash into your studio, you can be confident knowing that you're going to use that money for the right purpose, so you can be trusted today.
And Chris, my final question for you is this: once your life is over, what do you want your legacy to be, or what do you want to be most remembered by?
I want to be known as a man that entered the workplace and represented Jesus well. I want to be known as somebody that represented something more than myself. I'm just a conduit. I'm just a messenger. I'm just these things. My story does not belong to me. I don't want to be known for accumulating worldly wealth. I want to be known for having helped to facilitate a change. Even in one life, I'll be happy. I'm happy now.
Well, that's a noble mission for sure. And if people want to get connected with you, how do they do that? What's the best way to do that, Chris?
Right here on YouTube, just like Kevin, I've got a video podcast series, Age of Authenticity. It's not as good as Kevin's show, but it's getting there. So feel free to come subscribe on YouTube, check out some of the videos. I try to make them as entertaining as possible.
Fantastic, Chris. I want to thank you for spending a few minutes with me to share your inspirational and courageous story. And I really want to thank you for opening up and being vulnerable with me this afternoon. It's most appreciated, and I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kevin. It's been a great honor to be here.
Fantastic, Chris.